Before we start with the session, I would like to inform you that everyone is kept on mute and videos are turned off for a smooth flow of the webinar. If you have any technical issue, please convey them through the chat box. Our organizers will try to address all your issues. And if you have any questions during the session, please put them on the chat box. Any slide specific questions can mention the slide number as well. You'll put forward your question to the speaker during the discussion session. And if any questions are left unanswered, we'll try to send you through email. Now, I would like to invite Colonel Kaushik Sen, a design engineer from Team Shunya, to brief about our works and motive behind the team formation.
Thank you, Vadis. Hello, everyone. I'm Kaushik, design engineer in Team Shunya. Can you go to the next slide, please? Team Shunya was started in 2008 in IIT Bombay with a vision to sustainably meet the growing demand and need for urban housing in India. I'll be giving a brief introduction in next few minutes on aim, vision, and works of Team Shunya. Next slide, please. Our aim is to become a leading innovation hub in field of sustainability by providing accessible housing solution for society and industry, with a main vision to build affordable prefabricated net zero solar powered houses, thus making India's future secure. It all started with a group of highly motivated students who decided to participate in Solar Decathlon, as you can see on the slide, an international competition organized by US Department of Energy. This challenge here is not only a design but also a build and operate the house. And we are proudly to say Team Shunya was the only team from India to participate in this competition in 2014 and 2018. Next slide, please. These are some of the achievements of the team where we were mentioned, honorable mention in sustainability in 2014, and we got the best participation award in 2018 in China. Next slide, please. This is 2014 house, which was a one-story house. This house is still there in IIT Bombay, and one can see this house presently near the solar houses in IIT Bombay campus. Next slide. This is 2018 house which we had constructed, where we had won the prize for best participation. And here the challenges were more, where we had to build a two-story building and also construct electric car charge. These are our technical teams. We have architect teams, which is responsible for understanding user aspiration to development of design while considering aesthetics. We have civil team, where structural teams work on design aspects. Material team selects material for the project. Mechanical team maintains the thermal comfort, regulates heat, airflow, ventilation, air conditioning, and plumbing network of the house. We also have electrical team, which meets the electrical requirements of the house, such as energy demands, wiring, and home appliances. Then we integrate all these teams, these subsystems, what we call, and a stimulation of various subsystems is done through integration of the below software, the softwares which you can see over there. So that is how the integration is done. Next slide. And then we run a stimulation of the same. Once the stimulation part is done, the team members go through construction and safety aspect. Next slide. Next slide, please. Yeah. So here we can see that implementation part. Once the stimulation is done, how the construction and what all safety measures to be taken. The best part of the project is construction part, and we can say that the best experience are through this particular aspect. Next. What we see the construction of in 2018 model which we had created. So we also have a marketing and communication team. Our marketing and communication team carry out various activities throughout the year. We participate in various knowledge exchange activities, have interaction with industry persons. We organize various events as webinar and workshop and try to reach out our audience through social media. Skills required to carry out these activities are content writing, video making, poster making, website design, etc. Then we have received recognition in the media and also have interaction with various government officials, scientists, researchers, and ministers. Next. Next slide, please. We have received like this. All these projects are of requires very big budgets, so we do require financial support. And these are some of our sponsors from 2018. Next slide. And these are some of our sponsors from 2014. These are our faculty advisor and mentors who guide us through our projects. Without them, our achievement would not have been possible. These are our team members, present team members who will be participating in Solar Decathlon, which will be conducted in Colorado, USA in 2021. Thank you. Let me take this opportunity to introduce Mr. Isaac, who will be our guest speaker for today. Mr. Isaac Emmanuel is the man of actions, currently holding the position of Head of Construction in Covestro India Private Limited. He has been influencing people across divisions of the firm for past 29 years. From the very starting point of his career as a science student in the field of polymer chemistry to head of construction in Covestro, whatever he does, there are three things you will always find: innovation, sustainability, and digitization. Now, I hand over to Mr. Isaac to conduct today's webinar.
Thank you so much, and a very good morning to everyone who is here. I see that there are more than 50 people, and I am so happy to be part of this uh, session where we are talking about the civil aspects of sustainability. And I'm not sure if everybody is able to hear me. Can I just confirm? Is it because I get some messages in the chat saying that it is inaudible? Is everyone okay? Okay, thank you very much. So I'm also happy that to remember, I was closely involved in the team in 2018, right? When the Team Shunya was working hard, in the China Solar Decathlon, and it was a very treasured experience, I must say, with all the team working together, setting up the two-story building here in India and then later on in China. I think somebody will be sharing my presentation always. So you can
Shall
move to
I
the
play
first
the
slide
video?
there. No. Video is at the last.
Okay.
Let me finish the presentation first, and then you can you can play the video.
Okay, I'll start the presentation.
So while Waze is starting to present, I want to know from the audience, if you have some thoughts, what are the 5 main trend setting factors in the construction industry today, or in anything related with building and construction? There are 5 major trend setters or trend benders today. Okay, I'm not talking about materials as such, Ali, because you mentioned steel, concrete. But there are influencing factors which actually are sort of changing, or bringing the transformation in the construction industry. And this is going to be there for quite some time. Yeah, it's okay. You're all coming close to it, but let me. Yeah, compact houses. Yes, these are different types, different models, etc. But let me mention that in order to satisfy your curiosity, the overarching five parameters, which will actually transform the industry. Number one, health and well-being. Yeah, as you see today, there's a lot of emphasis because of the COVID-19 scenario, which has affected the entire globe. So there is a lot of emphasis on health and well-being, and that whether it is coatings or whether it is materials and wall panels and etc. It's a very top priority. Second, of course, is sustainability, and that's one of the primary themes which is overarching not only the building and construction industry but right across anything we do. And it has actually gone one step further. Sustainability has graduated to circular economy, right? Yeah. Okay. So the second aspect is sustainability. The third is, of course, functionality. How functional is your value proposition? How does it actually meet along with aesthetics, the function for which it is actually made? Number four, digitization. Yeah, that is very very important. And without digitization, you don't achieve the efficiency, you don't achieve even the functionality. Yeah. And finally, the fifth one is the customization. Yeah. Or let me call it another word, it's called individualization. So every customer is almost like a segment by himself, and that's one of the unique features of the construction industry, right? So the five things, overarching things. Yeah, you have mentioned a lot of things, and I'm really thankful that you have sent a lot of points in the chat, which I'm really excited about. But overall, there are things which are over and about transforming the industry, and they are, just as I mentioned, health and well-being, number one. Secondly, sustainability. Thirdly, functionality. Fourth, digitization. And then finally, the individualization. So all these together create, the basis for innovation, the basis for efficiency, the basis for all that you have mentioned. They all contribute towards making this experience to the inhabitant, to the development of such habitats. Right. So with this basis, I think I will move on to the presentation. Let's begin to the next slide, where I will be touching the sort of various touch points. Right. Always, can you move to the next slide? Yeah. So there will be a number of touch points in the presentation, which are actually the points where sustainability and innovation meet in the map, right? So you have the uh, touch points and the analytics, which take us through a roadmap of challenges, right? And with some focus on affordable housing, we have the very important part of advocacy, very very important part of collaborations, right? Innovations, of course, we cannot go along without it. We have also the relevance, which means that we are segmenting the industry and we're able to get into the details. And also finally, how we are able to adapt and move forward. So there is an experience which comes, and these are the touch points through which that experience actually comes. So you have the digital experience, you have the product experience, you have enhanced customer support. Yeah. And all these together are able to give us actually core bodies, building materials. Building materials, where are you going? Right? And we have to negotiate sustainably along these multiple touch points. Yeah. So as we move forward to the next slide, I want to place before you one of the biggest challenges which we have. In 1960, not long back, yeah, not long back, there were just two mega cities in the world. There were just two. But by 2030, which is again not far away, it is just hardly, we are in the end of one decade and we are just beginning another decade. 2021 is just around the corner. By 2030, there will be 41. There will be 41. Yeah. And along with that, you get so many multi various challenges related to demographics, related to health, related to uh, uh, many, including transportation, including mobility. How are you going to meet these challenges when you have such high number of mega cities? Moving forward, you have the answer that, next slide. Yeah. We have to have those products and solutions which will primarily address the housing situation. It will address air quality and the supply of food and drinking water. This actually is going to help us survive, not only survive, but live, and not only live, but also thrive in this situation when we are going to have 41 megacities with a population which is close to 7.5 billion or even more in 2030, right? And surely Mumbai city is going to be one of those most densely populated and high, or maybe it's the top of the chart in terms of these mega cities by 2030 or even faster, right? So you need to have to address the housing situation, which is one of the very important aspects, the air quality, and the supply of food and drinking water. Otherwise, you're going to die a very hard death. Yeah. So building materials for affordable housing. I'm going to focus on this for some time. Let's look at it from the historical aspect of it. Moving to the next slide, you find from traditional to modern, right? You have how the building industry has evolved. Yeah. So you have these very old structures which are made of basically mud. They have moved on to more of compact structures. Then you have certain panel kind of structures. And then today you find these high rise buildings also, which are heavily loaded onto silica based products, which are basically uh, glass, right? So from traditional to modern, there's been a journey. You find still in this world, you find living examples of all of them even today. That's how the whole the entire industry is. You have everything all over the place, right? Next slide will give you a little bit more technical insights on how this evolution has taken place, right? Early on, our ancestors had a sort of a nest structure. Yeah. So basically, working on stone and on stone tools. Then slowly, the evolution became into using wood, which is a replenishable item. You can grow trees still, right? Yeah. So the wooden frames were able to come in a large way, but along with it, you have the dangers that it is susceptible to fire, right? And it is highly damageable, right? And it may become unstable over a period of time. But still, even today, you find wooden structures. They have excellent insulation properties, by the way, right? And then it evolved to the wooden beam structure, right? Where science and technology gave certain clear cut components to the wood. Then moving on, you have a combination of masonry and wood structure. Again, it is susceptible to fire, it is again susceptible to damage, it may become unstable in a fire. Yeah. Further on, the advent of the steel industry, right? It's a steel structure and reinforced concrete structures, they all came, right? So you have the mechanized way of construction. Moving on, and in fact, today it is one of the very no, no, no. Let's stay on the previous slide, please. Just let me finish. You have the precast reinforced concrete structures, right? So this is where we are in a very large way that the Indian industry is being promoted in this manner, right? And then there are also the alternate technologies which have uh, bringing into the factors that okay, there is a need for thermal comfort, right? So architecture becomes a third skin. You have your skin, your natural skin, which is made up of protein. Then you have your clothes, which becomes the second skin. And then you have your buildings, which become the third skin. So over this period of time, over this historical period of time, there has been this evolution of construction. But everything has its pluses and its minuses. For example, there's a huge uh, damage caused through the greenhouse gases generation because of the manufacture of steel and the concrete. And that's something which almost like for every, of course, efficiency of the various processes is improving day by day. But on average, you have nearly a ton of carbon dioxide being produced for every ton of steel or concrete which is being produced. So such things are there. They have this plus and minus. But in the future, what alternate technologies are we going to have so that we are able to leave a legacy for the next generation that we can actually say that yes, we have not caused that kind of a damage. Next slide will give you the advantages and the disadvantages in some detail, right? So from moving from traditional to modern, the advantages are very clear. Yes, we want to have fast construction because we are producing a lot of people, right? We want to have comfort. We want to have productivity of the people based on the comfort, right? And at the same time, we also want to make a life which is uh, more consumed, right? So we have also the employment. You need to employ industry. We need to also to have a trade-off between high employment and also efficiency. We need more carpet area, value for money, and we also need such advanced new technologies, make things faster, speed of construction, lightweight, right? And energy efficiency. Can we have high constructions, high-rise buildings because space is a constraint in urban situations, right? And can we design to also having the ability to withstand natural disasters which are coming more and more in climatic changes, seismic, wind load, etc. What are the disadvantages? You have to pay a cost for having these advantages. So the increased cost is there, the not affordable to serve those communities which are at a disadvantage themselves, right? The increasing cost actually excludes certain sets of people, and those people are actually stuck. They're not becoming inclusive in the development of cities, the development of nations, right? So, like I already mentioned, such technologies also bring the global warming by increasing the carbon footprint. They become non-thermal buildings. Non-thermal buildings, they become uh, such solid mass, thermal mass buildings that they absorb heat and they radiate heat in such a manner that it becomes totally uncomfortable for the people who are there. And therefore, you have to start using the high air conditioning. And this high conditioning gives you the high energy costs, right? So maintenance cost is high, like electricity and building stability, etc. Maintenance cost is so high. And of course, the usage of water increases. So all this has been a detriment in the hunger to have the advantages you're having at the same time these disadvantages. So how do you manage this? How do you actually work around this at the same time meet the goals of health and well-being, of sustainability, of functionality, of digitization and customization? These are the questions which alternate technology has to answer. Yeah, moving to the next slide. This has given birth to the genre of the green construction materials. You all know what is the green construction materials, right? So it addresses the fact of the important parameters of energy, water, resource utilization, right? Indoor quality, air quality, environmental quality, efficiency in construction management, in operations management, right? And also in giving space for improvement and innovation. I'm sure all of you know that there is a need and also there is a trend towards life cycle thinking, right? It is not that the initial cost is no more the cost that really matters in the life of a building. There are two facts you must remember. The average life of a building in India is less than half that of the buildings in the Western and more developed nations. That's a very sad fact. Secondly, this second fact is universal. What the second fact is, the cost of a building, the initial cost of a building is just 10% of the total life cycle cost of the building. It's just 10%. So 90% of the cost of building comes because of operation and maintenance, and that's during the 25, 30, 35, 40 years of its life, right? So the green construction materials, or such materials which help in energy efficiency, in water utilization, in resource and material resource utilization, in indoor air quality, construction management, operation management, all and improvement in innovation, all these are investments which actually need to be seen in the light of life cycle costs, right? So the initial costs you may increase because of all these in fact matters, but the life cycle cost is these parameters actually hardly increase the life cycle cost. The trade-off is too exciting for us to ignore the contribution of green building materials, right? And that's what I want to really focus on during this talk, right? So let's keep this in mind, right? So there has to be an improvement of thermal performance. There has to be an improvement of what in selection of water saving materials, material design, yeah, such as optimization of concrete and reinforcement consumption. I already mentioned to you various detrimental factors which are actually damaging our environment. Sound insulation and thermal insulation should be less in the control of a functional and in the and the control of a functional room, right? Sound insulation, right? Implementation of material management such as water system, drainage system, etc. And of course, thermal improvement of building envelope, right? Moving on to the next slide. Let's remember buildings account for 40 and today the trend is even more. It's touching 50% of the entire global energy consumption, right? This is something which is very, very sobering fact. It makes us think very seriously. 50%, nearly 50%, that is close to about 42 and more than 42 billion tons of energy units. That's actually going into the global energy consumption. It is a very sobering fact, and we need to do something about it. Whether when we are building homes and cities, are we generating, operating, and destroying life? We don't know. So let's answer the question. Next slide. Yeah, you can click. Maybe you can have those clicks so that I can get the full slide here. So building on the challenges, you have the climate change, you have energy shortage, you have urbanization, you have infrastructure need and requirement. Yeah, and for a simple building like uh, what you see here on the right, even a single story building, the HVAC, or the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning requirement is more than 50%. It's nearly 55% of the energy requirement of the building. So where do we actually start making the solutions to these challenges, which are sustainable, environmental friendly, and also economic? So the whole solution goes towards making your buildings also coming to that. We need to have energy savings, we need to have enhanced comfort, we need to have increased occupant health. At the same time, we need to also have emission reduction. Moving on. Yeah, so this gives you a little bit more detail on the energy demand, right? So when we are in this position where the global energy demand is 7.7 million tons of energy units, and then you have 40% of it is coming in construction industry alone. And then in 2050, the next slide will give you how uh, great is this demand going to be. And that's a staggering truth. It's a staggering fact. And we have to, probably literally go out of the earth and get some energy from some asteroids or whatever is otherwise it's going to be very, very, very difficult for us to manage for the next generations, right? Next slide. Yeah, so there are various solutions available. Yeah, so insulation is one of the very important solutions. So you have the uh, fact that you have heat coming in from the ceiling, right, coming in from the walls, coming in from the floor, right? And therefore you need to have certain uh, materials which are able to give you the savings in terms of the ingress of the energy into the building, right? And it is an opportunity which is actually really not being taken into fact in 90% of the buildings in our country. It's a huge economic loss for us, right? You can click, you can click and go forward. Yeah, yeah. Next slide. Innovations in building materials globally, and then the most relevant for India. Let me move on to this topic. Yeah, next. I just want to give you some examples of the innovations which have really transformed or continuing to transform the building industry in the past 50 years or so, right? When we got into the mass scale production of these materials, right? So one of the important materials is the rigid polyurethane foam. And you know that there are a class of modern insulation materials, and this polyurethane foam material is basically one of the best materials that it gives due to its very low thermal conductivity, which means its insulating property is the best in the existing range of materials which are available for commercial utilization today, right? And which means also because of its high insulating properties or the lowest thermal conductivity, for the minimum space it occupies, it is able to give you the highest, you know, value, right? So it's well insulating, it's lightweight, and it can be used for all parts of the building. It has a number of ways in which it can be applied. It can be applied by spray, it can be applied as panels. So it's one of the very versatile chemistry which you can get today in the world. Another class of materials is where, you know, the polycarbonates. Team Shunya used them in the last 2018, right? In the 2018, we used the twin-walled 6 millimeter polycarbonate sheets for light roofing. So they're able to be giving the light, solar light is able to come in, and it's tough. How can I maintain the health and well-being of the inhabitants? How do I maintain sustainability? How do I maintain functionality? How do I maintain and bring in the digitization? Because you have the smart homes, and then you also have how can I make it customized to the particular needs. So these materials are some examples, right? And the next slide will give you some more ideas of what's happening, right? Uh, the rigid polyurethane form, it saves around 70 times more energy during its service than what is required to produce it, right? So the oldest available usage or application of this particular insulation, or the polyurethane insulation, has been actually the Chicago airport, which is nearly 50 years old, right? And it's able to be having its life, still as functional and as aesthetic as it was, right? And because of its integrity with the concrete structure, it is able to actually bring the stability to the entire building as such, right? In the Katrina and such disasters, such natural climatic, such incidents, that people went and they resorted. They found refuge in such buildings which had this curvature and also the spray foam on it, which actually brought the building stability. It was not easily destroyed. Yeah. So you can have lightweight, functional frame retardant functionality, right? And like I mentioned, it can be used in all parts of the building. Next, we'll give you, so that this particular polyurethane takes care of the energy aspects. And the next example, is about how it is used for low cost, or let's say more technically, it is affordable, right? These are panels, and in fact, this is a house which has been built for a very, which is based out of Delhi, yeah, in one of the places which are of the low income group. These are panels which are made out of polyurethane and paper honeycomb, right? So these are some things which are one of the sustainable innovations. And if you look at it, it will stand out from the rest of the buildings which are there in that lane, and at the same time, it is able to provide, the thermal comfort, especially in a climate like Delhi, which is going to even 45 degrees plus during summer, and also during winter, it is pretty intensive cold, right? So you have fast, you have lightweight, you have green, you have energy efficient construction for a decent living, and that's something which is very, very important for humanity today. Moving on, yeah, architecture. Many attractive properties. Yeah, sometimes I feel that the architects are lost in the creative design, but at the same time, how to marry the aesthetics part and the functionality, you need such talented materials. And such talented materials are like what the polycarbonate sheets are able to give. The high performance plastic polycarbonate allows creative design and offers functional advantages. Yeah, they are able to give all the advantageous properties, making the world a brighter place. Right. Next, protection, beauty, and safety, they come through the protective materials. The coatings which are made with raw materials, which are high performance raw materials, they are actually opening up new applications, right? And they are able to give a very healthy, building. In fact, one of the problems with today's buildings are they call the sick buildings. The sick buildings is because of the volatile organic content which is coming out of materials which are used for coatings in the buildings, and they are very very harmful, causing sickness in the inhabitants. But we have this new genre of materials which are basically based out of water, water-based chemicals, water-based coatings and dispersions, which are able to give you a very healthy building, not only to the people who are there, but also to the constant users who come and go. Right. At the same time, they offer the extra features of excellent dirt pickup resistance and also anti-gravity. Yeah, what is anti-gravity? Next slide. Yeah, is able to quickly remove whatever the damages or whatever the influence of the people who are there, of all kinds of people who are there, and especially in public places where you have the vandalism also as one of the major problems, and also in our country. Yeah, moving on. Let me speed up a little because maybe we are running out of time. Yeah. So industry and society, that means the people. Yeah. They require, technically, they require low emission buildings. They require energy efficient architecture, right? Not just aesthetics, but functional. Yeah. Sustainable solutions. They need modular systems, right? So on the right hand side, you find that there are this G+3 structure, which has been made in cooperation with the Rajasthan Housing Board in Jaipur, right? And this is a building which has been made entirely with uh, polyisocyanurate wall panels. Now, these are high performance panels giving you extremely good heat resistance, flame resistance, fire resistance. At the same time, also giving you the thermal conductivity. Needless to say, it takes care of all the other basic properties which are related to safety and related other load bearing features. So now this is basically a steel, an RCC structure, not a steel, the RCC structure, uh, and the panels are just sitting on the framework. Right on the bottom, you find a dharamshala from one of the NGOs which takes care of the tribal girls in Gujarat, and it's a dining hall for them. And this is again a very fantastic innovation where the uh, cement fiber boards are sandwiched, yeah, with polyurethane foam and paper honeycomb. Yeah, you may ask, what is paper honeycomb? Yeah, paper honeycomb has its unique features. It has load-bearing features. It has a feature which is basically fire resistant because the cellular structure does not allow flame to spread. It has inherent termite resistance, right? And it is lightweight. It is able to give a very good structure. So along with it, you're having the polyurethane foam, and so it gives a very good innovation. Next, all this show that there is a continual in innovation process which is going on in the construction industry. There are breakthrough. The construction industry is riding on breakthrough innovations as taking care of those five important features which I mentioned right in the beginning. right? So you have pollution absorbing bricks. Yeah, you have cooling systems in bricks themselves. You have self-healing concrete. Not only concrete, but you also have self-healing coatings, right? And also you have certain rods, strand rods, which are able to give you excellent strength, right? Next, now we need to relate all this to the sustainable development goals, right? And let me assure you that sustainable construction is inclusive and profitable. Sustainable is affordable. So you see, there are many uh, sustainable development goals which actually were formed in 2015 onwards. They are being given as the goals and targets for countries and companies, and they need to be fulfilled by 2030. Yeah, uh, we may not reach all the goals because of the various challenges which are right now we are facing, but these are solutions. These are the goals which are really driving innovations so that the solutions are able to come and meet. Now let me tell you one fact. You must remember this. The first millennium development goals, which were formulated in 2000 and which actually finished in 2015, they brought out 1 billion people out of poverty. The MDGs, the Millennium Development Goals, they brought out 1 billion people out of poverty. Whether you like it or not, 80% of them were purely due to China. The development activities taken by China on such a massive global scale were sufficient for bringing out 80% of the 1 billion people out of poverty. But then there is a limit to that. Yeah, development alone cannot bring you that sustainable earth that we need. And therefore, we have these sustainable development goals. And the next 1 billion people out of poverty can come only when we implement these SDGs. And I want to tell all you young people here that the world is looking at India, not China, not Africa, not, not other parts of the world. The world is looking at India to bring out the major chunk of the next 1 billion people out of poverty. Yeah. And construction industry has a huge role to play. If you see the details and relate them to the 17 SDGs, I have two slides here which actually bring the focus of how the construction industry can actually uh, foster and help us to bring the sustainable development goals into reality. Yeah, whether it is removing poverty, whether it is employment opportunities, whether it is developing infrastructure for irrigation products and for food storage, right? Whether we can develop and deliver uh, sustainable health facilities, especially in such pandemic situations as we are, affordable housing, right? Training opportunities, increasing employability of the people, right? Sustainable design, procurement, and construction of educational facilities, right? How can we encourage women to work on the operation and maintenance of building assets, right? Introducing renewable energy technology, designing and constructing facilities that support efficient water and sanitation, which is actually uh, lack of it is a killer. It's killing our people, right? So investment in infrastructure as a driver for economic growth. Our country is doing a lot of effort on this. We need to make sure that it is sustainable, right? So design and construction of sustainable infrastructure. Retrofitting is another big area for us. The next slide gives you more opportunities, all related to the sustainable development goals. Can you go to the next slide? Yeah. Yeah. Again, you could actually spend a lot of time on this. But what I wanted to say is sustainable construction actually does not ignore people and planet while it will make profit. Yeah. So when you look at the three P's, today many companies have a triple P bottom line. They don't just look at profit, but they look at people, they look at planet, they look at profit. And for companies, there are many companies in the world which say or which really live the principle that I can be neutral in one and positive in the other two, but I can never be negative on any one of the three. Right? So there is definitely a very convincing argument that the triple P bottom line is what the norm is needs to be in order to have alignment to the SDGs. So you can go on into these all 17 SDGs, and the construction is related very closely to all of them, right? Ensuring health, safety, designing and constructing resilient infrastructure that can withstand climate change, right? Mitigating the risks of climate change. Then use the provisions of sustainable built environment like bridges and roads, etc. In developing countries as a driver for global partnerships. Partnerships is one of the very important aspects of the sustainable development goals. In fact, SDG 17 is all about partnerships. Then there is the social impact assessment on infrastructure projects, sustainable regeneration of the infra of the people of the infra for people who are in either crime or deprived communities. Sustainable use of constructed assets, conservation of historic cities, etc., instead of building new ones, right? Developing smart and sustainable cities, of course. Development of resilient communities. In India, we also have the concept of smart villages, right? So manage environmental impact of construction processes. So how do we also take care of the uh, forest resources? Yeah. So sustainable construction takes care of the triple P bottom line. Next slide. Big question. Is it going to increase my construction cost? Now, I already told you about the life cycle thinking paradigm that we all should enter into, right? Because that's the one which really is the true cost, which example of an alternate technology which has helped us. You know, I mentioned about the Rajasthan Housing Board example, which was in Jaipur, which is still in Jaipur, right? So you see a design where lightweight panels have replaced the brick walls. Yeah, and therefore it has triggered savings in concrete. It has triggered savings in reinforcement, and it has increased carpet area, right? So if you see, the number of columns has reduced from 34 to 26. The number of beams has reduced. The size of the columns itself, the size has reduced, right? And the grade and the quality of the building reinforcement concrete is also different. You have 37% savings in reinforcement, 13% savings in concrete, and an increase at the same time you can increase in carpet area. So doesn't this not make sense? And very importantly, many times we do not factor in the time cost. Here, we are able to do it between 60 to 70% of the traditional or conventional time required for a conventional. So this is a living example. I invite you to go and visit this place, study it, test it, do a thermal conductivity test, do whatever you want in this, and you will find it makes a lot of sense, right? And the greater number of such units that you make, the greater would be the savings in terms of time and in terms of labor. Yeah. Next slide. Now, uh, just to help the building and construction industry, there is this forum called the India Insulation Forum. I just want to quickly introduce the India IIF to you. This is a forum which has a number of companies across all kinds of materials, yeah, multinationals and also local Indian companies, which are basically focused on bringing to reality, the benefits of good insulation. So the U value in the roof and the wall U value, they are so high when you have a business as usual construction without insulation. While you want to shift to a simple energy conservation building code, that's ECBC, which takes care of the insulation, right? This has been set by the government of India, the Bureau of Energy Efficiency. And you just have to comply to it. You see the dramatic fall in the U value of the roof and the wall. So the net result is, and this is not, I'm not telling it out of, off my head. No, there are major studies, major investments going to bring the proof of concept of this. There is, in fact, a big cooperation between the Indian government and number of other governments, including the Swiss, German, Japan, the EU, just to, and also the US, of course, to bring this fact of the energy efficiency and clean energy into realization. Yeah. So you have studies. In fact, if you want more data on this, I can provide you. Right. So reduction in heat flow through the roof is close to 90%, and reduction in heat flow in through the walls is close to 70%. Yeah, you may say that yes, this is a box structure, right? What about high-rise buildings where the roof is much smaller in area compared to this? Yeah, definitely there is a difference, but you know the overall, it could be the wall area much higher, but you can also notice the wall U value also significantly falls. Therefore, it makes sense. Energy saved is energy generated. Please remember this. Energy saved is energy generated. And that's going to go a long way to make your life sustainable and the earth sustainable. Yeah, next, I just want to run you through some innovation examples which are touchable, which are seeable. You can visit and you can see them, and you can make your comment. I already mentioned about this PIR technology, Rajasthan Housing Board, construction G+3 in Jaipur. You can go and see it. You're welcome to visit it and study it. Next, you have, yeah, you can move. Yeah, this has been also tested by the MNIT in Jaipur. So they have given this certification. Next, yeah, I already mentioned this. We can move to the next. So sorry, there's a repeat. Yeah, these are all structures which are built using prefab panels. Yeah, This Mandi is a high altitude, Himachal Pradesh location. This is basically IIT there. Yeah, you have an IIT there, and this has been built entirely using prefab panels. Insulation, giving you the thermal comfort, whether it is hot or whether it is cold, right? And because of the resource efficiency, you're taking brick and so many other heavy materials up. All that is avoided. You take lightweight material up, and you do it so fast. You're able to save a lot of time and energy. At the same time, you have durability, design, yeah, and endurance. You have some more pictures of that. You have other places like that. You move to the next slide. Next slide. Yeah. NTPC, the National Thermal Power Corporation, Joshimath. Yeah, you can move forward. Yeah. Yeah, you can move forward. Yeah. So all these are all are made on alternate knowledge of prefab panels. Yeah, and this is a very unique innovation. This is a 50-bed hospital by one of the companies called Structure Eco, and while they have used polyurethane roof panels, but the walls are made out of agri fiber. They are made out of waste content. Yeah, and this high silica content gives you fantastic fire resistant properties. And they are compacted using binders, using certain adhesives, and they're able to give you a very good structural element, right? So it gives you a huge opportunity to achieve circular economy. You find today that, in fact, in Delhi, the season has started, stubble burning. This is a solution actually to break that cycle of burning stubble. Yeah, and this hospital used. You can see the next slide. You find a closer view of the wall panels, right? Can you move to the next slide? Yeah, yeah. So these are the panels, and these are perfect, absolutely meeting the function as well as the aesthetics. They can be finished just like a normal wall. Next slide. And remember, all these were built in less than a month. 7,000 square foot, 50-bed hospital in a place like Patna was built in less than 60 days. I think that is really appreciable. Yeah. Next. This is a global scale hospital built in Iraq. Yeah. A 400 bed hospital. You have a basement plus ground floor and a 16-story reinforced concrete structure with polyurethane panel. It is a very large area, 18,000 square meters, right? And it took about 5 years. Yes, it took about 5 years. But it shows and demonstrates the capabilities of alternate technologies. It is just not related to housing. It is just not related to nice dharamshalas. It is not related to just universities or colleges. No, you can have world-class structures coming out of such alternate technologies. Yeah, maybe India is a little bit behind, but the world is progressing, and we have to catch up. Next slide. Yeah, these are some more interior pictures of this. Moving on, moving on. You can see that it actually is it's as good as, and even maybe better than whatever you may be doing traditionally or conventionally. Next. Yeah, this is a certificate from there, from the Iraq authorities. Yeah. Next. Now let's get back home. This is one of the first buildings in India way back in 2011. It was completed, right? And at that time, it was the platinum highest lead platinum rated building in the world. We wanted to build a net zero building, yeah, a net zero energy building, but we ended up creating actually a net positive building. It was generating more energy than it was consuming. How? Yeah, when you move to the next slide, you'll understand. That has been a classic. We had in Germany, US, and in Japan, in China, in Thailand, and also in India. This is found in Greater Noida. You can again visit this place. It's a fantastic demonstration of how materials can actually play a solid role in sustainability. Right. Next. Yeah. So these are the various places where we built them. Right. And actually, a net zero building, like I mentioned, at that time, was it a dream or was it can be real? Yeah, it became real. In all these places, it became real. And you find that it is in all kinds of climatic zones, right? So you have it in Belgium, you have it in the US, you have right here Greater Noida. You're welcome to visit it and study it. And then you have also in Germany. Yeah. Moving on. Yeah. First of its kind, completed in 2011. Of course, now the platinum rating has all been changed. That rating system also has evolved. But at that time, it was the highest lead rated building. So you see the energy efficiency, a remarkable 70% less consumption versus conventional, right? So we had solutions in insulation, we had in waterproofing, we had in coatings. Yeah, moving on. So it had all these solutions. It had the polyurethane foam for high and low temperature insulation. In fact, the whole building was enveloped using polyurethane foam. It also had lightweight, stable, and transparent polycarbonate sheets, replacing glass, right? Then it had, of course, the photovoltaic cells on top, the roof, and it had also uh, the LED, the smart energy metering, and also cabling coming out of polycarbonate blends. We had coatings and adhesives and paints, which are basically low and zero volatile organic component. And then I mentioned already the LED and other interior lighting solutions. So that's 10 years back, a decade ago, was the concept of zero emission buildings. And today we are talking about zero emission districts, which eventually will also happen, right? Next. Yeah, maybe this slide is a little too busy, but this shows you exactly where all there has been the intervention. So this is maybe the Mercedes Benz of buildings, right? But this is the life cycle cost again to impress upon you that you can have the life cycle cost still positive. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, so we were able to intervene through materials of sustainable materials in waterproofing, in insulation, including the floor, right? Yeah, side walls and the roof, everywhere. Then we had also the security door, which was replacement of glass. Yeah, in fact today, you find the partitions also are made of polycarbonate. Whether you go to the hotel today or to the Parliament House, for example, because of COVID, you have these transparent sheets which are coming in place, and they are polycarbonate, even in cars. So partitions, and railing, polycarbonate replacement of glass, doors, protective coatings, wood coatings, wall coatings, and then protective coatings. So all these have been interventions, solutions of sustainability. Next. Yeah, like I mentioned, the net positivity just came year after year, year after year. I don't want to show you all the years, but then quickly you can go through this to the next slides. Uh, yeah, 3 years hat trick net positive. Yeah, you can go ahead. Next. Yeah, it still continues, I must say. Yeah. Okay, let me just quickly finish with the last two slides, and then the video can be played. So Covestro, the company where I come from, it is a company which is a world leader and inventor of plastics. So for 14.6 billion in sales last year, about nearly 17,000 employees, listed in Frankfurt, DAX. It has large portfolio of products and solutions for many industries, including the automotive, including furniture, including footwear, and of course um, the construction industry. A highly innovative company with about 1,000 employees, purely engaged in research and development. We are an 80-year-old startup, I must say. So we have construction sites across the world, and also 3 in India, one in Ankleshwar, another one in Kadalur, another one, of course, in Greater Noida. Yeah. So we are close to the markets. We are very customer centric, and we work with suppliers very closely. Next. Our vision for a brighter world, right? So we want to make the world a brighter place with innovative products and solutions for more sustainability. So we've pushed the boundaries of what is possible. And I want to say, particularly where I come from, the particular business is called inclusive business. And this is where we develop solutions and we deploy solutions to underserved communities. We work along with the governments, both in central and the state. We work along with NGOs. We work along with our partners, implementation partners, and we bring such solutions which are required for housing security, affordable housing, in fact, for food security, for for preventing the loss of fruits and vegetables, which today it is nearly 20% of it is lost, and of course water. So we are looking at these 3 fundamental requirements for man, yeah, and in fact for the common man, and we see how our solutions can be brought using the available ecosystem and also creating some new ecosystems to make sure that the underserved communities are being reached with such solutions. And like I said, we are very keen to play a part in bringing those SDGs into reality, which means that we are very keen to bring people out of poverty. And we are very keen that India plays a very uh, key role in bringing people out of poverty. So that's where I want to stop. Maybe the last slide, I just want to run that last slide. Always, maybe. Yeah, this is making us different, curious, courageous, and colorful. And I invite you to be also of the same characteristics, and we can make together the world a brighter place. Thank you so much. I'll run the video now. Just if you can run the video. Yeah, you can see your 2018 building. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the audience, and I really want to thank the opportunity given to me by Team Shunya and also IIT Bombay for this session. I hope you enjoyed it, and if there are any questions, I will try to answer them now. Otherwise, of course, I will get back to you when I have the answer. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Now we can take some questions if the participants have some. Participants can put the questions in the chat box. And please stay till the end to know the procedure for getting the EAT certificate.
So I have a curious question. I mean, all the participants here are from the students, right? Or is there also some faculty?
Mostly students, sir.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, can you just? There was a question.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sure.
Can someone read it out to me, please?
Okay, so the question is, how is the marketing of such products which requires explaining relatively complex concepts like life cycle cost different from conventional marketing?
It is very different. Thank you for the question. Yes, it is. It is a very different question where you are selling concepts. Yeah, you're selling ideas. So at the end of the day, you need to have a very strong value proposition to make sure that your customer or the target audience is able to be convinced on this. So there are various tools which will help convincing the customer. One of the important things is the lighthouse projects, right? Which means like the Rajasthan Housing Board, you need to have such lighthouse projects which are a living proof of concept, right? But don't worry, the government of India itself is moving in that direction, right? And in fact, last year there was this global housing technology challenge. I'm not sure how many of you have heard of it. And as a result of that, there were 54 different alternate technologies which were sort of recommended, and they are now available for people to take over. So the initial task of putting those lighthouses. Secondly, you have also certain marketing tools like the value waterfall, right? So you need to create certain economics, in terms of, okay, today this much is the current cost. You have to maybe add a few additional cost because of the technology and innovation, but then you have savings due to time, savings due to labor, saving due to water, savings due to energy, etc., etc. And at the end you have the final cost. So you are able to bring out the life cycle cost through this tool called value waterfall. Yeah, so there are some tools available like this. And of course you have various other simulations which you can do in terms of software, and above all, you need to have the passion. When you have the passion, you will be able to develop and present these concepts along with the tools. Um yes, I totally agree. It is not easy, but there are ways. And when you have uh, to to mitigate risks due to climate change, due to urbanization, no, due to demographic, etc., then your argument is strong. Thank you. What is the next question?
Okay, so now the question is, so Seth is asking, so he has been reading some things about living material, that is mushroom for building construction. So what, according to you, is the future of these materials?
Okay, honestly, I must say that I have to learn about these future materials. Um I'm sorry, I don't have ideas about that, but maybe I learn and get back to you.
Sure, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, so another question is, how is it possible to strike a balance between locally sourced materials and advanced technologies, like to achieve maximum sustainability?
Yes. So, um one of the important determining factors is your embodied energy, right? So embodied energy is basically how much of energy you are inputting into that material, in terms of its transportation, in terms of its various other factors. So you need to minimize this. Yeah. So that's the best you can do. But when you want to really bring in the technology which is giving you a even greater advantage, then of course you take a call, right? For example, I've showed you a couple of these things which are, the energy saving bricks. So they are just too high cost, and the time has not yet come for India to actually have them. But when we have certain pioneers who are bringing in such technologies into the country, and when there is a critical mass, then automatically you have a local production. So till then, there is a time of gestation. Let me give you an example of the uh, PIR technology itself, right? The PIR technology is a worldwide, accepted technology. Many countries are using it already. How can China build 30 stories building in 30 days? It's because they're able to do such technology adaptation. How is Israel able to do it? How is Turkey able to do it? They are all able to do it because, whereas in India, we have a different mindset. And I will not say it's negative, but it is not to that advantage which we'd like to have, right? But there are companies who have invested, and we start in those segments which have a ready acceptance. Yeah, even though the major application could be in affordable housing, but we don't start there. We start in cold stores. Yeah, we start in defense establishments, right? So that is where we start bringing in that new technology. There is an investment, but eventually, when we have success in these, then slowly it comes into the affordable housing. So there is an initial period of risk, but eventually the argument will be winning, that people will start accepting it. The world is hurtling towards it. The world is hurtling towards sustainability. There is no escaping that. So any technology which will bring in sustainability and the further step of circular economy is definitely going to be accepted one day or the other. I hope I've tried. I mean, I hope I've answered the question in some way.
Thank you, sir. Okay, I'll take one last question. So Dinesh is asking, so did you work with MNIT Jaipur in any of the project?
No, we really didn't work with MNIT as such. We invited them to come and present their technology, and also involved in certain Indo-US clean energy projects. I saw there was one last question. What about externalities? Could you just read that? Just maybe I take that last one.
Yeah. So last question. What about the externalities in such projects? Many times the social benefits these projects offer, be it in terms of environment or anything, people usually are reluctant to pay for it, assuming that someone else will do it for them. So like, how do we convince people of doing so?
Yeah, that's a very sobering fact also, that in India we really don't want to pay for what is more of a nice to have than um, than what a necessity is, right? So, like I earlier mentioned, then there are many convincing arguments, and especially when it comes to people, we need to start with the right kind of people, the people who have an understanding of lifestyle impact on the environment, right? They are the pioneers, they are the touch points, right? And then when they become a sort of an example or model for the others, then you have slowly starting to penetrate into the entire segment, entire market, segment by segment. So it is not a magic process, it is not happening overnight. You have to start somewhere, but you have to be able to start with the right segment, and then you are able to penetrate into the entire market. Okay, thank you
Okay.
once again.
Thank you, sir. So, on behalf of Team Shunya and the entire fraternity here together, and on my own behalf, extend a very hearty vote of thanks to Mr. Isaac for gracing us and sharing with us your findings and opinions. So, thank you so much, sir, for taking time on busy schedule.
It's been my pleasure. Thank
Thank
you
you,
so
sir,
much.
and we are
Yeah.
extremely grateful to have you. Thank you so much, sir. And I would also like to express a sincere thanks to each and everyone present here for joining us in our team's social awareness program. Hope this session was helpful. We have provided a FB link in the chat for your feedback. Uh, this link will be there till 1 p.m. So please fill the form and make sure you write your name correctly, as this will be written on e-certificate. And e-certificates will be issued only to those who fill the feedback form. So once again, I thank everyone and thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much.